oftentimes I hear that everything in F&O needs to be developed. And I don't know myth, right? I don't know reality, but to me it feels like, and I have observed as well, that there's so much dependency on development and customization for F. Like
Yeah,
I can't tell you of a single project that I've ever heard of that didn't have a lot of customization for F&O. So what is that like? Why is it
sure.
needed? And help me understand if that's really myth or if that's reality.
Yeah, I'll start by calling that a myth somewhat. And what I want
Okay.
to say there is I have, on multiple occasions, implemented vanilla, not a single modification, F&O. So it's doable. It is a robust software. It's enterprise grade for a reason. If a customer is really intentional about sticking to basics, we can get a vanilla or very near vanilla. Maybe we add a field here or there, tweak a report kind of thing implementation. So I don't want any potential customer thinking that F&O is something that they're going to have a web of customizations on. However, this is where the flip side comes in. F&O is a very customizable platform, and you can take the base product and really make it suit your needs. I see probably more customers, not probably, definitely more customers do have some degree of modification, and I would kind of put it on a range. Most customers have a small to medium amount of customization in their F&O. I'd say a good 70%. That remaining 30%, you got 15% who are doing a very nearly or vanilla implementation, and you got another 15% that are just swamped with customizations and they're using F&O to some extent as a customization platform. There is no wrong way to do it. There are things you have to take care to do if you are in a more customized environment. You have to start looking at things like regression testing automation so that when updates come out, you're not breaking any of your core business process customizations. You have to have a more robust implementation. Your test cycles really have to focus in. You have to have strong design documents. You have to have strong developers, of course, working kind of backwards here. But across the board, you can do what you like with F&O. That's a theme I feel like I keep hitting. It's a world is your oyster kind of ERP. It's a big ERP for a reason. It's got the ability to go custom. It's got the ability, I think, to function great just as it is.
Okay. That's good. Okay. So you're painting a picture for me. If I'm a Great Plains, user or, decision maker in terms of
Mm-hmm.
where to go next, you've definitely helped me obviously see a little bit more about this. A couple more questions though, because moving from on-prem to cloud means that changes how I would have to manage our rollouts of updates, rollouts of customizations, because the cloud SaaS ERP systems themselves now have an automated update element to them. And, having been so long in Great Plains, that kind of scares me.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of life, having been implementing and supporting BC for so long, it's really refreshing to have that automated update cadence reliably giving us new
Mm-hmm.
features and bug fixes and things. What is that like on the F&O side?
So, very similar on the F&O side. We are cloud-based now. We are taking updates just like BC does, where you're going to get a standard cadence of updates that will be pushed to your system. You can only let yourself get but so many versions behind most current. When you take these updates, that's tied to the regression testing that I mentioned.
Mhm.
So you'll take this update to your test environment. You'll run your regression testing, whether that is manual or automated. You can test yourself, certainly. Nothing is stopping you. You'll give your internal team a thumbs up. Maybe you'll work with someone like us as your partner. And at that point, once you've cleared it and say, hey, this update looks great. We didn't have anything break, or hey, this update actually did break customization XYZ. We'll proceed with fixing that customization for the new update, or we'll push the new version up to your production environment. And there we go. We do have a lot of customers. It's natural. They're scared of updates. They want to avoid taking updates as long as they can. But really, what I see the most success with are the customers that build a process around updates and it's just on their schedule with their internal IT. They run their tests sometimes, not very often, but occasionally something will break. We go in, we get it fixed, and we stay ahead of the update schedule that way. So we're not scrambling to fix a customization and you have a week before Microsoft is going to force you to take this update.
Mhm.
So it's a system that for a lot of people, um, can be nerve-wracking at first, but once you develop a good cadence, you're actually going to be pretty happy with it because you're going to be getting the latest and greatest features as part of what you're already paying for.
Okay.
So it's a transition for sure, but I think it's a worthwhile transition.
Okay. So it sounds like it's the same as Business Central, really, which is great.
Yeah,
So, okay,
I
so
think
that one's
so.
on par, and I'm still very interested. Now, let's say that I'm ready to go, and I'm concerned about what it's going to take to teach the team how to do their new jobs, how to use the
Sure.
new system, how it benefits them, because I love my team. I want to keep everybody on the
Mhm.
team. I want them to have a great experience. So,
Sure.
how do you best execute on a training regimen that gets that accomplished?
Yeah, it's a big system. So this is actually a great question. And what we like to do as a best practice is what we call train the trainer. We're going to be engaging throughout the implementations with a core of our customers' subject matter experts. They are going to be experts representing the business, representing the legacy ERP, and they're going to be experts going forward internally to their own teams, representing the new ERP, F&O, to their business. So, what we like to do is we like to build strong SMEs. Those SMEs will be responsible, with our support, of course, for training end users. So, they'll be going with us through test cycles, CRPs. They'll be going through with us, weekly calls, learning the system just by virtue of implementing alongside us. And after about two, maybe three CRPs, we typically find they're already really strong users and they're ready to go train their team. But if they're not, we kind of have a sliding scale of how much we'll support those trainers in training their team. Maybe, they need a little backup documentation for their team. They're not comfortable writing it themselves. We can do that. Or maybe they want, someone sitting on the call with them just for those hard questions they might get from their end users. We support that. But making the business SME or BPO, whatever you want to call them, the primary point for training, it's part of that baton handoff where it goes from the ERP project to the, okay, we're really going live. And it's always really good for end users to see a familiar face in those trainings. So
Mhm.
that's what we like to do. I've seen it work for 10 plus years now. And really, when it's executed well, I think it's the best training system.
Okay. All right. So there's a way to get people trained. It sounds like it's going to take a fair amount of time, but that's true regardless of ERP system, in all
Right.
fairness, because there's a lot to go through to discover, to align, to schedule, to execute, to do all these things to really get ready to go to what's next. Now, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Moving my data from my existing Dynamics GP environment to
Hmm.
Business Central is fairly straightforward. Okay. And I'll phrase that by saying that no matter what ERP you choose, you have to deal with data
You
migration and you
do.
have to
Yes.
provide clean data for the project from the customer to the implementation team, or it will fail. However, when we do data in Business Central, we have a wide swath of tools. Edit in
Sure.
Excel, we can use configuration packages, we can have drag and drop, we can copy paste. There's so many ways to migrate my data in, especially my GL history and my
Hmm.
master records, my items, vendors, customers, bills of materials, fixed
Sure.
assets. So, what is that effort like? How long does it really take? And what would be expected on the F&O side for data migration?
This is a great question because, like you said, data migration, no matter what ERP you're coming from and no matter what ERP you're going to, you're probably going to experience some need for data migration. And F&O has what is called the data migration tool. It's a workspace in F&O, and they have what are called data entities for everything you could pretty much want to throw data at: your item master, your vendors, your customers, your GL. many, many more bombs, routes, etc. And what we need to do is export our old data into an Excel, into a CSV format. And we're going to take those columns and we're going to align those columns with their new corresponding columns in F&O. That is a pretty manual effort, but we do it throughout our implementation. And while data migration can sometimes be a hair-pulling exercise, it is something that we take the pain out of by doing it iteratively. So we use Microsoft's data migration workspace. We are helping our customers take their data out, showing them the ins and outs of formatting the data to F&O, and then we're running loads. And we do it iteratively because we know we're going to encounter some issues. So we'll do our first data migration as soon as we get the system up and running. We're going to pull down customers' data. We're going to call that iteration 1. We are expecting to find errors in iteration 1. We're going to find out about those errors in our first test cycle, CRP1. And as we run through test scripts, run your purchase order process, run your production order process, what have you, when we get errors that are related to data, we're recording those and we're building up a set of fixes that need to go in place for iteration 2. Iteration 2 is going to be right around our pre-CRP2 timeframe. We're going to take the lessons learned from CRP1. We're going to run a brand new data migration. We're going to blank out the environment, bring in new data with all the lessons learned from CRP1. We are still expecting to find another round of errors, fewer hopefully, fewer almost certainly, but at that point, we're going to have a pretty solid picture, and we're going to do it again at UAT because data is this important. We're going to do it again as a pre-UAT exercise. We're going to take lessons learned from UAT. We're expecting a real sliver of data migration errors at our UAT at this point. We're expecting to be very nearly perfect, but that way at our mock cutover, we can do it again, run another round of testing, find anything. If there's anything left at all at our mock cutover, fix that for go live and put you in a good place data-wise. So building a strong process, repeating our data, getting our customers in, validating it through our existing test cycles is really important. They're going to be testing with us anyway, so they've got an opportunity not just to look at process, but data. That's how we get strong data migrations. But, you know, I've seen projects really struggle because of poor data in the past. We've come in on some rescues and things where data migration was not where it needed to be. And the story is usually the same. It's, oh, we did one data migration, or maybe we did 2 data migrations. And to me, that raises a red flag. And it kind of goes, oh, of course, unfortunately, you're having issues. You didn't run through this process enough time. So we really like to make sure we do it a lot and that we're putting adequate tracking in place, fixing our errors as we go, so that by the time we get to that go live date, data migration is more of a good thing than a stress thing.
Well, that's a good strategy because I've seen data torpedo, bad data really torpedo progress. It's a blocker. It creates friction. It creates distrust, you know, in the team and the product and so forth. So we definitely try to address that as early on in the process as possible, like you say, so that that second cut, and if you really need that third cut, you know, it's getting as clean as it can possibly be. So that's good to know. Okay, I get it. I have a much better sense now, Kevin, of my options and kind of what I might use as decision factors between Business Central or maybe taking a more serious look at finance and operations. So thanks for answering all those for me.